Hey guys, if you would have come to me about 5 years ago and asked me what my favorite indie games are, I would have said, who are you and what the hell are you doing in my house? And then I would have said, what's an indie game? But if you fast forward about 5 years, there's some of my favorite games to play on the Switch and anywhere. So that's why in this video, I'm going to make a list of my 15 favorite Switch games. In no particular order, but my favorite game will be last. So you're going to have to wait around to the end of the video to find out my favorite indie game is. It's not much more to say than sit back, grab your favorite snack, yum 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 yum. Enjoy the video and here we go! Before we begin with the list, I have two things I need to say. First, the games on this list don't necessarily need to be exclusive to Nintendo Switch. So the games could be Switch games, they could also be Xbox or PlayStation games. They could be anywhere. And second, this video is for my subscribers. So I'll give you a second to hit that subscribe button. Alright, now to begin, we can start with this list. Again, I do need to say they're not in any particular order, but my favorite game is last. So you're going to have to wait to the end of the video to see my favorite Switch indie game. Let's do it. We're going to start this list with a bang talking about Faye. That's right, Faye is an amazing 3D adventure game. You know, it's a 3D platformer. It's a game that's very, very unique. If you're just looking at the game, like you see, it's totally different than anything you've ever seen. From the art style, to the visuals, to the mechanics. I mean, this is a 3D platformer where action and combat isn't really the main thing you do. Mostly you go up and sing. That's right, you sing to the other creatures and nature in the game. You'll be singing to your enemies. You'll be singing to plants. You'll be singing to the environment. To solve different puzzles, to figure out different ways to get around this world. It's a truly unique game and one of a kind. This game is criminally, and I say that again, criminally underrated. If you like 3D platformers, if you like those artsy fartsy games, definitely check out Faye and check it out as soon as possible. This next game is Animal Crossing before Animal Crossing was Animal Crossing, and that's Stardew Valley. Stardew Valley came out on the Switch in April of 2018 and really took over people's minds. Took over their minds and took over their Switch and took over their time. People put 30, 40, 50, hundreds of hours into this kind of Animal Crossing real life simulator. The difference between this and some other of those simulators is not only do you farm, but you actually start relationships. You go dating, you meet people in town, you graze crops. Then at night you can go down to the caves and do some mild combat. I am not exaggerating when I say this. People put hundreds of hours into Stardew Valley. This is a game I never heard of till it came out on the Switch, and you know, I'm not gonna lie, kind of got a little addicted. And anytime you get this addicted into a game, you know that independent developer did something correct. Those first two games I would consider relaxing, chill games. These next few are definitely not, and starting with Celeste. The developer Matt Makes Games released this game in January 2018 and it hit the Switch like a storm. I never heard of this game before it came out, but once it did, I could not put it down. It's basically a side-scrolling action platformer, very similar to some other games. You get one board or one room and you have to play it and play it and play it until you beat it. But the thing that's so different about this game than other games is it kind of teaches you how to play the game, and when you make a mistake, it's your fault, but you keep learning. You keep learning different ways to basically finish the room, and also it's very snappy. When you die, you go back to the beginning of the room and have to restart it right away. This is a long game, there's a ton of variety, and the difficulty actually can go very high or very low. There's a lot of accessibility features to make this game playable for even the beginner gamer. Also, I do need to mention the story. Most side-scrolling platformers don't have much of a story, but this one handles mental health just about as good as any video game ever. I recommend Celeste. Now, there would be no Celeste if it wasn't for Super Meat Boy. And that's right, Super Meat Boy's been around for a while, but came onto the Switch in 2018. And this was the OG killer side-scrolling. You know, these guys were inspired by Mario Brothers, and it really tells, but this is something all of their own. This is one of those games that is so painful to play, but also so rewarded. You probably already know a lot about Super Meat Boy, so I'm not going to go on and on about it, but there is a documentary called The Indie Gamer that I totally recommend you watch, and it kind of talks a little bit about the development and the release of Super Meat Boy. I do need to add, there was a highly anticipated sequel for Meat Boy called Super Meat Boy Forever. It was kind of a runner, and this game was so highly anticipated, but then it came out in March of 2020, and it kind of just came and went. I think it suffered from being a game that was delayed so many times that people just forgot about it and lost interest. I do have interest to play this game, and maybe one day I will if I ever want to feel like pulling out the last few hairs in my head. Alright, after those two games, let's bring it down a notch, and I need to talk about A Short Hike. Yeah, that's right. You might not have heard about this game because it just came out pretty recently of August of 2020, but it is amazing. I kind of compare it to kind of like Animal Crossing, but a little more action, a little bit more adventure. It basically is about you are a bird and you have to travel to the top of this mountain. You meet different citizens and townfolk on your way up. You have to get different collectibles. It's really just a fun game. Also, it's about 2 to 3 hours long, so you could really beat this game in 1 or 2 sittings. I highly recommend it. Also, there's a way you could actually upscale the graphics or descale it. So if you want it to look like 8-bit, you can make it look like 8-bit, or you can make it look closer to 64 bits. Fun game, relaxing, and it's just good for the soul. This game's not good for the soul. This game will actually make you hate your best friends and want to kill your mother, and that's Among Us. I was actually late to the party when it comes to Among Us, but there might be no game that's more fun online than Among Us. Trying to figure out who the imposters are, or maybe you're the imposter. I don't know a ton about this game because I'm still new to it, but it is a fun game and it has to be on this list, just for the popularity alone. This video is actually sponsored by my merch store. That's right, I have my own merch store with plenty of t-shirts, mugs, and even stickers. If you see something on here that you like, or you see something you want but it's not here, let me know and be happy to add it. Do you like Mega Man games? Then you have to check out Mutant Mudds. This game came out in December of 2017 and the Mutant Mudds collection, actually 3 games in 1. This game is a side-scrolling, kind of Mega Man, kind of Wario type game. You're actually jumping from the foreground to the background, shooting all the bad guys up. A lot of fun. This is another game that isn't that long. You can probably beat it in 1 or 2 sittings. That's why the collection is so great. You get Mutant Mudds, you get a sequel that's basically a harder version of the original with new levels, and you also get a puzzle game. Great collection and even better game. This is just a classic old school game on a modern system. I totally recommend it. It's made by like 2 or 3 people, so totally check this game out. I really hate that sound. An Untitled Goose game is the reason why. This mischievous goose is the pain in the ass of all the townsfolk around it. Who would have thought that such a fun puzzle game would be played by an annoying goose? There's a button in this game that all it does is make him squeak and holler just to annoy people. But there are some really clever and creative puzzles that are weaved into this game, and the difficulty is actually way higher than I would have thought. This game makes you actually think. It's not just a puzzle game where you see the answer right away. You have to actually use logic and your brain. When I sat down, I really didn't know what to expect, but when I finished this game, I was actually very satisfied and thrilled to beat it. It also has great music. The one downfall of this game, it is too short and has left me wanting more. When you think indie games, you don't really think of sports games, but that's where Golf Story kind of changes up everything. Golf Story came out by Sidebar Games September 2017, the first year the Switch came out. And granted, it is a sports game and it is a golf game, but it's much more than that. It's more of an RPG, and that's right. So you go from game to game. That's golf game. You know, playing from different courses, playing on the links. That's right, I've made this joke before. Getting your character better and better and eventually trying to win that big tournament at the end. When I was playing this game, it really reminded me of old school Mario Tennis on the Game Boy Advance. Granted, it's a sports game, but it's really more of an RPG game. And the last title I said, I just wanted more. Well, that's good because Golf Story is actually coming out with a sequel, Sports Story, that's supposed to come out this year in 2021. So we're going to be getting a lot more sports and a lot more RPGs very, very soon. I also do need to say this game has great length. After you actually beat the story and the main game, you're actually able to play a round of Frisbee golf. And you might not know this about me, but I played a few rounds of Frisbee golf in my day. So I highly, highly recommend Golf Story. Do you like 3D platformers as much as I do? Because if you do, new Super Lucky's Tale is great. This game came out by Playful Studios back in 2019. It's actually kind of a new game. The original game came out in 2017, but then those developers kind of remixed this game and remade the game to come out on the Switch exclusively in 2019. That was Super Lucky's Tale. This is new Super Lucky's Tale, and it's a totally different game. If you go online and look at comparison videos, you'll see just how different it is. But anyway, this is a true 3D platformer with everything you expect. Jump, double jump, dig underground, big boss battles, exploring, trying to find collectibles, great graphics, and great controls. If you're looking for a new 3D platformer that looks like a AAA game but really an indie game, definitely recommend new Super Lucky's Tale. I do need to say that these developers were kind enough to give me a free copy of this game, and that had no influence on me putting this game on the list. A lot of people said this next title was the game of the year for 2020. I only dabbled in it for a few hours, so I can't say that it was my game of the year, but Hades is something special. I'm usually not into roguelikes. I usually like my stories laid out for me. I like knowing what's gonna come. I don't like things automatically generated, but Hades is just different. I mean, not only is the writing so good, but the gameplay is so much fun too. Being able to go through these worlds of the underground hell and beating up bad guys, the combat's just great, and like I said a second ago, the writing is amazing. You might face somebody once, die, and when you come back, they tease you that they killed you that first time. This is so unique. I do need to invest more time into this game just because how beautiful it is. I know this is one of those games that I could just suck me away and put so much time into, so I've kind of been avoiding that, but I need to carve out a little bit more time to really give Hades its due and see why some people said this was their game of 2020. If you're looking for something unique, something artsy-fartsy, if you're looking for something that you could show non-gamers just how beautiful games could be, Gris is that game. That's right, Gris is a side-scrolling platformer. There's no combat, it's all puzzle-based, but it is just so amazing. I mean, they really mess with your mind with perspective. Sometimes you'll think you're really big on the hand of something small, and everything will change. The way they play around with colors and the scenery and perspective is really crazy. The only game I kind of compare it to is Journey, which was on PlayStation, another really beautiful artsy game that had some sort of deep meaning that just went totally over my head. Gris, you could usually get on the Switch for like $5, so I highly recommend you pick this one up, even just to play for an hour or two to see what you're missing. Gris is a beautiful game, the music's great, the color's great. I can't say enough about Gris, definitely check it out. These next two are kind of like bonus games. They didn't really make my list, but they were like really close. The first one is Shovel Knight. I mean, what can I say about Shovel Knight that you don't already know? This game is freaking amazing, and the only reason it's not on this list is because I played it before I had a Switch, so I'm not going to go deep into why I love Shovel Knight. And another Zoink Games, Flipping Death. This is a really unique game, and when I say unique, I mean unique. You're actually taking the lives of different citizens, trying to do puzzles. This is the same developer that made Stick It to the Man a few years earlier. These are some very unique puzzle platformers. I definitely recommend them, and I recommend Zoink Games in general. They are truly a creative developer. Now time for the
main event, the moment you've been waiting for.
My favorite independent game of all time. Drumroll, please. My favorite independent game of all time is Image and Forum's Steamworld Dig 2. I didn't even know what Steamworld was until I started playing this game. I remember there was some sort of Nindies Direct, and I said, hey, Steamworld Dig 2 looks interesting. Picked it up and fell in love. Basically, this game, you know, you go around, you're digging holes, you're finding resources, you're beating up bad guys, you're bringing the resources back up to the top, and you're getting new, abilities. And all of a sudden, I realized what I was playing. I was playing a Metroid game. Steamworld Dig is basically a Metroid game. This game just has such that addictive gameplay loop of going down deep, bringing back up the stuff, and getting, upgrades. And there's always the risk, like, do I want to go deep enough? Because if you get killed, you're going to lose your stuff, or it's going to get stuck back down there. You're going to have to go back down there and pick it up. So you always have that risk reward of what should I do. It's also a great story, but just, scooping up that dirt is just so satisfying. And then when you get to the top, just listen to this beautiful music. Oh, this brings back memories. I love this game. So granted, I wish there were a few more boss battles, but, well, you know, no game is perfect, but this game is definitely long enough. There's a lot of collectibles, and like I said, just scooping up that dirt just feels so good. There's always that feeling, should I go a little further, just a little further, a little further. Oh no, I died, now I have to start over. You know, there's a lot of different areas. There's the traditional, you know, sand, there's the toxic waste area. There's a lot of fun, unique characters. I need to talk about the writing. It's actually really, really funny. I know it's a whole Steamworld universe out there. The Steamworld Dig 1, Heist, even Quest. Sorry, not a big Quest fan. I just don't like those card mechanics. Sorry, guys. But I love Steamworld Dig 2, and it is my favorite indie game ever. And you can probably get on the Switch for pretty cheap. It's usually always on sale. And those boys and girls at Image and Forum actually give away codes all the time. So I recommend you follow them on Twitter. So I know that was a long list of indie games. Are some of your favorite games on that list? Did I forget some games that you love? Let me know down in the comments section your favorite indie games. We can start some dialogue. I'm actually really curious what games I possibly missed. Guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I live stream a few days a week. I also make discussion videos, prediction videos, all that fun stuff. I also have a Patreon. You can have your name right here for $1 a month if you're interested in supporting the channel, but just you being here, clicking is enough. Guys, if you want to subscribe, hit that like button so next time I go live with content, you get it right away. Guys, I am Turbo Jesse. See you on the flip side.